Welcome, guys. Before we get started, did everybody have a good G-Fest this year? Well, it's not over yet. We still got a few more hours to go. Still lots of fun to be had and lots of things to talk about, like the MonsterVerse turning 10 this year. Let's get it. So my name is Nick Crispino. For those of you who don't know me, I am Kaiju Junkie on Instagram and YouTube. I'm also a senior editor over at KaijuUnited.com, and I will be your host for this afternoon's panel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Everyone calls me Scrooge or the guy with the hair. That's really it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
For those who don't know me, I go by Unite Godzilla Fans on Instagram or John. How's it going, everybody?
What's up, everybody? I hope you guys are having an amazing G-Fest. I am Kaiju Combat, also Ramon. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads.
All right, so we're here to talk about the MonsterVerse in general. Now, I think you don't need me to tell you that when it comes to the MonsterVerse, you either love it or you hate it. And I do not like echo chambers on panels like this, so a few of us here are fans of the MonsterVerse, a few of us aren't. So, Ramon, let's start down with you, and we'll find out who the haters are and who, we'll expose the haters.
So, I mean, when you get to it, the MonsterVerse is a good franchise. I mean, like he said, 10 years of the MonsterVerse and still going strong. We got a new film coming in 2027 along with Monarch Season 2. But, what a time to be a Godzilla fan. And, I'm just super happy that the MonsterVerse is continuing to going strong to this day.
I think there are a lot of ups and downs about the MonsterVerse, and it happens in any type of franchise. You start off with something that has been, as everyone loved, dark and grounded, then we get to the goofiness and the silliness of something like GXK, and I think that's totally fine. I would say from start to finish, 2019 is one of my favorites personally, and here's where you're all gonna hate me. G14 is last. Sorry, guys.
But you say G14 is your most hated, but it's also the movie where your favorite line of the MonsterVerse comes from. Does anyone know what that is? If you listen to his podcast, you know.
What, Final Wars?
The line. Say the line, John.
Okay, so if no one knows, me and Ramon over here do what's called the United Kaiju podcast, and we do have the line that we hope Legendary hears and sends us a cease and desist letter. It is, Daddy's home, cake every night.
All right. So usually when I start talking about the MonsterVerse, I start having a drink early. So just do me a favor and give me a sec. So.
Start a bit.
Oh, God. What do I think about the MonsterVerse? Well, hold on. Ooh. Feel that?
I forgot you brought something.
I did.
And I don't know what it was. You wouldn't tell me, so I'm a little scared.
I just wanted to bring a visual representation of what a real Godzilla movie looks like. That's right. I will sum up my feelings about the MonsterVerse in one sentence. I will gladly watch Godzilla 1998 over 2014 any day. Oh yeah, boo. Please boo. Boo me. It just makes me enjoy this so much more.
That's a lot of fish.
That's right.
Who likes tuna?
So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the MonsterVerse. When 2014 came out, I was a huge fan of the grounded, dark, foreboding atmosphere of the first movie. And when King of the Monsters came out, I liked it, but when I watched it again, I was sort of taken back by just like the complete shift in tone that they had taken. There's an underwater base now. Now we've got a flying battleship, basically. And it's kind of why I didn't like GVK, as much as my first viewing, because I was still naively holding on to hope that we could return to sort of a grounded MonsterVerse. And I realized upon my second viewing of that movie that that's not going to happen. I think it's best if I just embrace the silliness, have fun with the movies, and treat them like the Showa era,
Right.
But we will expand on our answers more as the panel goes on. So the next thing I want to ask you guys, so it's been 10 years since 2014 came out, and we have way more than I think any of us, or anyone in this room, could have ever imagined we'd get. We have movies, TV shows, comic book tie-ins, video game tie-ins, and with more on the way. So what do you guys want to see next? Ramon, we'll start with you again.
Man, like the saying goes, anything can happen. So, like I said, we have the new MonsterVerse film coming in 2027. We don't know if we're gonna get another original kaiju like Scar King and Shimo, or they're gonna pull a miracle and get one of the classic Toho kaiju. I know there are talks, or a lot of people wish, Biollante and like Space Godzilla want to join the MonsterVerse, but like I said, man, anything in this franchise can happen. We went from the dark, serious tone of 2014, and I'm gonna say this in front of my buddy. We went from that all the way to WrestleMania with GXK, with Godzilla doing a suplex on Kong in Egypt. So, like the saying goes, man, anything can happen with the MonsterVerse.
I like how you still have the price tag on that thing.
How much was it?
It's priceless.
It was on the price of the house,
$3.99.
on the house, so don't tell anybody that.
Oh, God.
Fair. I would love, honestly, that they do bring in someone classic. I think one of them would be Biollante. I think exploring the Hollow Earth along with Biollante is one of the greatest setups, because we do have a lot of the Hollow Earth to explore. Who knows how massive it is? So why couldn't Biollante be growing? It seems that Godzilla is all over Hollow Earth. You have things with dorsal plates, so why couldn't it be Biollante next? I also would love to see the return of Gabra and come into the MonsterVerse. That's what I'm saying. Like, Gabra, come on. He got snuffed out in Singular Point, couldn't get the right name. I think Gabra deserves a chance.
Well, that was, I don't care what Toho says, I'm going headcanon. That was Gabra in Singular Point. But I think it would be fun.
Anyone can call him so long, but the real ones know who that was. Right? We all know. We got him.
I think it would be hilarious if they brought Gabra back for just like 20 seconds and just give him the most embarrassing death ever. Like he's squaring up with whatever monster and then just like a gigantic boulder.
Those birds that could do the shock, and he just like comes, he's like, all right, food.
Well, actually, that would make sense.
He becomes the new Doug, essentially.
Ooh, I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
What would I want to see next? I don't know. Maybe a good movie would be a good start. Well, hold on. Give me a sec. All right. So far, in the MonsterVerse, Godzilla has yet to face his greatest foe, which is, a good plot, maybe better dialogue. What else was I thinking? I don't know. Like I said, just maybe being a good movie. That'd be a good start. Oh, silence. Yeah. We'll obviously have more time to expand on this, but I think it's great because this is a year I was able to talk a lot of crap on 2014 last year, thanks to this man. And we're talking about 1998 and 2014 last year, but a year later, we're already -1 deep into a new G-Fest. And simply put, -1 literally gave me what I've been looking for years, with a budget that was literally, they might as well have had $10 and a Godzilla figure, and they would have made a better movie than Legendary's made in over 10 years, with hundreds of millions of dollars of American money. And that's really one of my biggest issues with the franchise. Is it still fun? Yeah, because I saw New Empire, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I took my nephew, I saw it with some of my friends, saw it with my girlfriend, and we had a lot of fun, but like, it's still, after the fact, still sucked as a movie. It still sucked, as a well-written movie, with good dialogue, with characters you're gonna remember. I remember the one dude because he looked like a discount Australian Ace Ventura, and that was it. The monsters were fun, but that was it. But -1 literally gave me everything I needed in a Godzilla movie and really helped cleanse the palate. So that's why I still have issues with the MonsterVerse. And what I like to see next is just a good movie. So I don't think that's too much to ask Santa for this year.
Notice how I strategically placed us on this panel. You have the two people who generally like the MonsterVerse on each end and the two haters in the middle. So when you try to run off stage, we'll just...
No, boo, please. I really enjoy it.
Send them boos in.
Let's do it.
No, feed it. It's hungry. It's hungry.
Nom, 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 nom.
Keep going.
So I think Scrooge has genuine criticisms. There is a lot wrong with the MonsterVerse, but I think it's like I said earlier. It's best if you enjoy these movies like they're the Showa era films. Because if you think about it, the MonsterVerse is kind of mirroring the Showa era, really like to a T. It started off dark, foreboding, serious, like almost wasn't treated like a monster movie, more like a disaster movie. Then Godzilla Raids Again comes along. Kind of a little cheesier. And then by the 5th movie, we've got 3-headed dragons and aliens. And then by the next movie, Godzilla was in space. So I think as far what I'd like to see next in the MonsterVerse, put him on the moon at this point. Why not? might as well.
See, that's real quick. That's to his point, right? That's to my point. What he just said. Like, okay, it's like a new version of the Showa series. Okay, well, the Showa series was over 60 years ago when they were talking about production companies that didn't have a ton of money and did the best they could with what they had. America, literally, these movie production companies literally have hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal, and yet they're still making stuff that makes me sit there and go, why? Why are you doing this? You literally have everything, when the Japanese made a movie on $10 million, and it was way better than a lot of recent Godzilla movies, film-wise. So.
Nick, I got a question then. If you're putting Godzilla in space, can we bring back that scrap film, A Space Godzilla, and turn Godzilla into a spaceship holding a little baby?
Oh, God.
If no one knows
think
about that, look up A Space Godzilla. Toho wanted to make Godzilla into a spaceship. It was bizarre.
It was
I think what I meant by my last statement is like, let's just screw it. Let's just see how far we can go, because I'm really like, we kind of got it with Monarch season 1. Grounded MonsterVerse, it's long behind us. We're not getting it back. So I think the best course of action is to just embrace the silliness. Let's see how crazy we can get and how much we can mirror the Showa era. Because when I watched GXK, a lot of people, myself included, were like, it's like we're watching a modern day Jun Fukuda film. And I think I'm kind of okay with the MonsterVerse being the new Showa era, because as much respect and love for the Showa era as I have, the movies haven't, as far as filmmaking goes, they haven't aged well. You know, when I'm sitting there watching one of the Showa era films and I can clearly see the strings holding up Mothra and see that they're obviously using stock footage from a previous movie, they just lowered the exposure down in post to make it look like a night scene. Sometimes it takes me out of it, you know? So if we have those wacky Showa era adventures with a modern budget, then I say why not? And like all the modern CGI, I mean, there really is no issue with that, because we're getting the serious stuff from Japan, so we have options now. I think now that we have options, if we didn't have Shin Godzilla or -1, I think I'd be kind of like, yeah, all right, the MonsterVerse, let's cut it.
So more pocket sand.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
More.
So what we're literally saying is, my older brother's a lot better than me and more successful, more talented, more better looking, but because I lowered the bar here, then I should just keep that bar there so I can't get any worse. I should just literally go to rock bottom, is what you're saying.
Yes, the MonsterVerse is the stoner cousin of the Godzilla franchise.
So then,
the low expectations.
proves my point.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're like amazing masterpieces of cinema. They're fun movies. That's all I'm saying. Like, and that's okay.
My thing is that, okay, think about from 10 years on, the only thing I could really think about quoting like and enjoying it is like Daddy's Home, Cake Every Night, stuff like that, where it's really stupid, where we're it's like 60 years past a lot of our favorite films from like the 60s and 70s, and we still remember human characters from it, dialogue from it, and it might not be the best, but we remember it better because it was just more enjoyable. Like me being like, oh, hey, look, I can make a much higher quality version of crap. It's still crap. Like when he was talking about a new movie coming out next year, I'm like, yeah, that's great, but like I know I'm gonna be going to the bathroom again later. It's still gonna be crap. Even though it's coming in the future, it's still gonna be the same thing. So what's the difference? Just because I know it's coming my way doesn't mean it's any better.
Let the record show that was the only time that Aaron Taylor Johnson showed any other type of emotion than just. Can we all agree that he was a piece of 2x4 just walking around the film? Literally had no emotion. Am I wrong?
Aaron Taylor Johnson was like pretty much a wooden plank in an army suit. It was literally a wooden plank in an army
I'm not
uniform.
going to disagree with you there, but my nostalgia goggles for 2014 are so thick, I look like Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys. I'm glad a few of you got that reference.
I really wish I
met them last
could
week.
do that
They're great.
voice.
Okay. Anyways, that's a whole nother can of worms. Let's stay on the topic of where we'd like to of the progression of the MonsterVerse. So we have a new director, I'm going to butcher this, Spator. Is that correct?
Sure.
Sure.
Just roll with it.
Yeah, do I look
no
like
one
a man who
corrected you, I
knows
think
how to
you're
pronounce
solid.
anything?
So as far as the progression, we got a new director. Unfortunately, Adam Wingard is not going to be returning for GVK3 or whatever you want to call it. Are you guys?
No, come back, please. Don't go, come back. That was sarcasm.
I hate you so much.
But he wanted me on this. Don't get it wrong. He wants it. He wants me to be here.
Regret has now set in.
Dun, dun, dun.
This panel is going great. So Grant Spator, how do we feel? Are we confident? Yes or no?
Who? What?
That's the newest, I guess.
The new director for the.
I mean, if you look at his record of movies, I feel like they're following through with everyone. Gareth Edwards barely had any movies under his belt when he did 2014. The guy who did Skull Island, I didn't even know who he was.
Jordan Roberts.
Yeah, him. Don't know him. 2019, Michael Dougherty barely had any movies. Trick or Treat, a couple of horror films, that was it. They seem to be doing these directors who don't really have hands-on experience with monster films, aside from Edwards in that terrible movie he did, Monsters.
Whoa! Hold on.
I said it. Terrible. So it's once again, you have to put in the thought, and along with what Scrooge has been feeling with the MonsterVerse is, can this person either A, build it up with still keeping that cheesy, shower, modern age built, or is it just going to be the end of all things to come?
Well, I mean, it really could go any way. I think the consistency of the last two movies is gone. Because, I mean, that was the greatest thing about having Wingard come back for GXK, was that it felt like a proper next installment of the MonsterVerse. You know, the feeling was there that, like, that Adam Wingard vibe of filmmaking was there. The synthy techno OST by Junkie XL was there. So, and I was a real big fan of that. I just want this Grant dude. This Grant dude. I just wanted him to do a good job and have the self-awareness to know that the consistency is one of the things that made the movie, the last movie, work, in my opinion. I hope that Adam Wingard has at least a little bit of creative say. I hope there's been like pre-pro meetings already of like, all right, here's how it needs to be, here's what needs to go down. Grant, make us proud.
Well, I mean, his name is Grant, so we already got an issue there.
Hugh Grant?
Hugh Grant? I mean, do you like Hugh Grant?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Like, joking aside, it really is a situational thing. What do I mean by that? Well, as much as I do enjoy 98 for what it is, that whole thing was because Roland Emmerich was given that because he had a past history of making highly successful disaster movies with Independence Day. And so like, hey, here's this money to make Godzilla. And he's like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I don't really care. Nice. I honestly thought that was going to be me.
Kinda went
Someone
with
else
it.
did it to me, so
That was
perfect.
good.
So they said, here, we need you to make Godzilla because you made Independence Day. And he's like, no, I don't really want to do it. They're like, well, you want to make Godzilla, don't you? And they slam more money at him. He's like, well, yeah, I guess. He's like, I'll do it if I can do it my way, which his way was, I don't care about Godzilla, so I'm going to do it whatever way I want. So when I think about that, it's like, well, you could have a director who is attached to a Godzilla project who doesn't care, but has a list of movies that he did do that were semi-successful or liked, and that's how that turned out. So when we fast forward to Edwards and everybody, I honestly did not believe the man when he said how much he loved Godzilla. I felt like they just have been picking one person after another with no background in anything, and they're just like, here, take this. Like, you know what, we don't know what to do with this thing, so just, do something with it. Play with it like you want to just let throw your kid in the corner and be like, here, play with this, I gotta do something else. And then you look at, again, -1. Forgive me, I don't remember the director's his full name, but
Takashi Yamazaki.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Have some respect.
listening to that man, you listen to him, his interviews, he talks about his passion for the franchise, lists GMK and Kaneko as one of his main inspirations, and you look at -1, and literally everything he's talking about is shown in the film. His respect for both the seriousness of anti-war, being a pacifist, and all the messages, and just good storytelling, good monster effects, making Godzilla really cool again. So it's like this guy, my biggest thing is that it doesn't matter about his background or what he did or this or that. It's like, does he actually care about what he's doing? Yeah, it's a giant monster movie, but if you're gonna make something good, you gotta actually have some passion or some kind of actual, you wanna have a stake in this game, or it's just gonna be another paycheck. That's literally all it's gonna be. And it's not gonna matter to them because while we're over here in a ballroom in Chicago complaining about some movie, they're currently washing their armpits out with money in some kind of gold-plated bathroom. So it's like, if you wanna make something good, you gotta have some kind of drive, some kind of passion. And that's why I think -1 is really one of the best Godzilla movies ever. So.
I have a question for you though, Scrooge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, clap it up. Woo!
Yeah.
So I have a question. You just said that the way you feel about Godzilla in 1998 is basically, it doesn't matter if it's bad, it's enjoyable, and the director didn't care about making it. Isn't that pretty much the same thing that you bashed me for? About the MonsterVerse, it doesn't matter that it's crap. It's better crap,
My thing is that I believe they're two different animals because 98 was literally hated for decades for being different, and yet it came from a place of a guy hating Godzilla. But it's really not that bad of a movie because we have worse movies in the Godzilla series, in my opinion. So it's one of those things where the MonsterVerse has really been touted as a thing that oh, Gareth Edwards really loved Godzilla. It's like, great, man, why don't you make a movie that didn't make me fall asleep? Because if you love Godzilla that much, you could have at least, I don't know, put some caffeine in that movie. Instead, I just want to pass out every time I see it. So it's I feel it's different because 98 got hate for years for not being Godzilla, where the MonsterVerse has been hyped up to this is the comeback of Godzilla. And I'm like, well, great, why can't it be better? My question is, why can't it be better? You literally have multi-million dollars of American money that you could make anything with. I mean, they make the most insane Marvel movies and everything else. The same, I can't remember how much New Empire and Kong versus Godzilla, how much the budget was. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of a budget. And this is what you end up with. -1, literally. I'm gonna have to keep coming back to it because it literally was a movie that checked off everything on a $15 million budget, great storytelling, good characters. I literally sat there in the theater waiting for Godzilla to come back on because it was just amazing. The first time I saw it, as soon as the Odo Island scene happened, I'm like, I'm sold. That's it. I never once sat there during New Empire saying, yeah, I'm sold. Instead, the only time I actually laughed, I actually had a good time, is when he picked up the smaller Kong and started beating the other Kongs with it. I legitimately was laughing my butt off in the theater.
I was just about to say, when Suko was being used as a baseball bat, that didn't at least put a little smile on your face and just go, all right.
No, I actually, for all the hate I give it, I literally sat in the theater and I went, okay, you got me. You got me.
We got him.
We got him
He's
once.
converted. He likes it.
No, hold on. Hey, hold on. Whoa. And smoking them funny cigarettes again.
Hey, I'm hosting this panel. What I say goes.
You can't forget that suplex, though. That was pretty iconic.
I literally sat in the theater because my nephew, he's 6, he was laughing out of his chair. And I sat back and went, all right, you got me. I'm like, that was funny. I really thought it was going to be like a touching moment of him like, oh, Dad. And he was like, oh, son. Instead, he was just like, took him and went, wham. And I was like, oh, my God, that's funny. So I can give it that. I think
it's one of those things that's safe to say is realistically, Hollywood doesn't care. Like, in all honesty, at this point in time where we're at in 2024, Hollywood doesn't care about what they make. There's no passion, there's no heart. And I think one of the different things, and I 100% agree with Scrooge, is when you come to Toho and Godzilla, you can tell that they're putting in every passion, every love that they have for this franchise into it. Hollywood just wants to make a movie that is just for people to eat expensive popcorn and candy to and call it a day. Like, that's it. There's no love for it. And now with Godzilla on the rise, everyone's gonna want that cash cow. He's booming, he's huge. 70 years of the King of the Monsters. Like, longest running franchise ever in film history. There's nothing like it. So what's the best thing to do? Capitalize on it. Who cares what's in it? We'll throw, another ape or orangutan or whatever in the next film, and people are gonna go see it. If you don't say nothing about it and you not see it, it's gonna continue on happening, and that's Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it really says more about Hollywood. More money does not equal better movie. But in my opinion, I think it's more of a problem of writing. The scripts are. As much as I enjoy the MonsterVerse for what it is, and all the issues I do have with it, the one thing if there's one thing I've given up hope on more than the fact that we're probably never going to get grounded MonsterVerse again, we're probably never going to get engaging, fun, interesting humans in a MonsterVerse film. I think we can all agree on that, especially after GXK. I mean, the only real I hated Trapper. I thought he was kind of annoying.
No, we encourage booing, so yeah, go ahead, come on.
Yeah, this is the part where
I
everybody who was
disagree.
agreeing with
I
me
love
says
Trapper.
turns and hates me. But now that's the part where I start to talk about what I don't like. Mikhail was kind of annoying. Like, when that tree ate him, I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember his name. I just referred to him as guy who sounded like he smoked 3 packs a day. But
Probably.
where was I going with it? Oh yeah, humans. The humans story is bad. I mean, Dr. Andrews was just an exposition machine. When she was reading the hieroglyphs and going into detail, I'm like, how do you know that? I mean, they're just pictures on a wall. I mean, granted, you can probably tell. He's like, oh, she's studied Kong and the Iwi for decades. She probably is taking it. She probably knows a thing or two, obviously, but. How could you know every little intricate detail?
There was something funny in that drink. a little bit of acid in there to see the whole picture.
I was actually happy because I can't read, so the pictures of the drawings, I was like, I can actually follow along with this, so that was helpful.
But I think the major problem with MonsterVerse is in the writing, and we're out of the writer's strike recently ended. I think the writers are kind of getting what they want, and I think there's no reason why you can't write the humans better. The MonsterVerse satisfies my craving for the silly monster movies where the monsters just punch each other. It would be great if, I'm trying to mirror what you said, it would be great if we could get good humans and good human-driven stories. Things happen because reasons, where did you get that flying glove, not the flying glove, the flying ship to hold the glove? It just happened to be there. Oh, this glove also just so happens to cure frostbite. But that's, don't get me wrong, I rolled my eyes a couple times watching GXK, but that just boils down to nitpicking stuff. Because going back to what I said about the Showa movies, things happen because reasons as well. Human characters in the Showa era were not the best written either in some cases. So,
which is true. It's just which is true. But that's the thing is that I think that is true. It's not like the movies we hold on a pedestal, except for like maybe the first Japanese 1954 Godzilla. They are not all great written. Oh my God! Too much energy drink. Excuse me for a second.
use your words, sound it out.
We're almost there. Greatly written movies from the 60s and 70s. They are ones that are silly, ridiculous, and this and that. But we're talking about 60 years later. 60 years later, we can do some different things with the technology that has progressed, writing that has progressed. Like I'm can keep going back to -1 because literally another thing that I was really impressed with was taking something that is 70 years old and doing something different at the end of how do we try to stop Godzilla? Well, we're going to crush him with the weight of the ocean. That hasn't been done before. And you never once were like, oh man, that was an idea. Well, that was because they wanted to do something different and actually write something worthwhile. And I 100% think that you can do both writing something worthwhile as a story, but also having great monster action. Like it's not a hard thing to have both. That's what I'm saying is like, yeah, we can look at it like a Showa movie from the 60s in 2024, but why? We're at a point we don't need to do that. Like I literally -1 just showed you can do it. They're just like, nah. I could eat at a 5-star restaurant, but that Mickey D's dollar menu looking good right now. I'm hungry, and Daddy wants a Big Mac, okay?
Daddy wants some cake.
Oh yeah, that's right. Cake every night.
The way I see it,
Does the
is
dollar
like,
menu even exist anymore?
No, it's like $2 now.
I haven't eaten
$5
McDonald's
menu.
in like 5 years, so I don't.
The way I see it, when you compare, because I know due to the close proximity of -1 and GXK, the comparisons at the end of the day are ultimately inevitable. The way I go into it, when you compare these two movies, they are both different in their respective rights. You have a darker, serious tone with -1, absolutely a masterpiece. Then we have GXK, which is the fun, wild roller coaster ride, Godzilla and Kong running side by side in Hollow Earth to beat down Shimo and Scar King. I enjoy the movies how you see it. Each one have their own strengths. And at the end of the day, I mean, what a better time it is to be a Godzilla fan because we got two movies so close together. But I mean, I'm just super, super happy.
That's one of the guys that love it.
I got your back, Ramon. Don't worry. Look,
Let's get it.
I think
Let's get it. Come
yeah.
on.
All right, come on. We are stronger
Let's
than
get
them.
it. Let's get it.
Gabra's coming for you all tonight.
Listen, it is okay to clap for mediocrity. We live in the land of the free, so you're free to just completely applaud stuff that sucks. It's great.
Right. You're
Doesn't
free to
mean you ain't
applaud
getting judged.
Godzilla '98 for
Yeah, that's right.
unconditionally screwed.
That I can't.
Unconditionally screwed. So, the MonsterVerse, I think, is charming, right, Ramon? Like, yeah, it's got its issues. It's not it's not golden cinema, but it's charming.
That's the thing is like, I would actually, again, this is why it's like, it's not a big deal ultimately because I am willing to say, oh yeah, that part in New Empire I enjoyed. Oh, some of this stuff I enjoyed. I did have fun watching New Empire, like I said, with my nephew. But like he just said, we're 10 years later. If they had a -1 in that 10 years, I wouldn't be up here complaining. The fact that you haven't made a single movie that like from start to finish was pretty good, and you're like, damn, that's probably one of my favorite Godzilla movies now, then what are we doing? You've been at it for 10 years. Like that's what I'm saying, is that I'm not against having mindless fun. Why else do you think I'm at G-Fest? You want to make sure that you at least have some substance here and there because you're talking about a 70-year franchise of over almost 40 movies. And so if you have a 10-year period of you making American films and not a single one matches one Japanese film, that's why I think there's a problem. I can have fun, but like we can also like enjoy something serious here and there. It doesn't even have to be the whole series. The whole series doesn't have to be, dark, brooding Batman, I'm sad, I'm ready to cry in the rain. It's like at least one. Like -1 doesn't have to happen over and over again because that would get stale too. It's just like America could do better is my point.
I don't think they can. I don't think they can.
That's the sad part.
That's the thing.
That's the sad part.
And this is if you guys follow me on Instagram, I say you really can't compare these two from Toho and Legendary, because they are in totally different realms of backgrounds. You have -1, which is extremely, dark, anti-war and everything else in it. Legendary, they're doing all, from the Dark and Grounded of 2014, yes, I know, up to, GXK. They gotten silly because they can't do it. They don't. If they took what Toho did and bring it into them, that would be kind of disrespectful because, and let's be real, we handed them their creation in all honesty. So then Legendary repeating that, it's a little of a slap in the face. It's like, we dropped a nuke on you and we're also going to use Godzilla as well as a dark tone too.
To make money off of it.
Exactly, it's a little slap in the face. So when you get into it, comparing them, it's kind of like, you can't. So I highly doubt that any Hollywood director can bring it that serious to that tone of -1. It would just be a little disrespectful, and that's just my opinion of it all. But I think we're just going to continuously get these silly, campy, silly stories with the human dialogue, funny comic relief moments of, why don't you bring them over for a beer and a burger? We'll be zipping around. Like, okay,
Oh my God.
That's it.
I mean, I think that's fine. So we're running low on time. I want to make sure I get to the audience questions. So I think the last thing I want to ask you guys, if there is one thing you could change about the MonsterVerse, like in the entire 10 years of the MonsterVerse, if there's one thing you could change about it, what would it be and why? That could be a plot point or anything. Ramon, start with you.
So I feel like G 2014 had a pretty strong opening. However, there is one thing I would like to change in that film. When the nuclear power plant gets destroyed, instead of it being the Muto, because we never see the larva form, it should have been Godzilla. That Comic-Con teaser clip we got? That should have been in the movie. Instead of making us wait, 40, 45 minutes. I get why Gareth Edwards did it, but I mean, I would much rather have Godzilla come out strong. That way it gets the audiences more engaged with the film.
All right, John?
Doug should have been Minya.
I think he's a good stand-in for Minya, potentially in the future.
And there it is. How about you? Do you want to go first? Yeah.
Here we go. I heard that.
All right, it's all right. Quiet in the court. Quiet in the court.
Do you need a minute to think about this one?
I can't think. Look at my hair. I can't really use my brain too much. To be honest, one thing to change is the word focus. What is your focus? Like, what is the point? If you don't have a point, then it shows in your film. It shows in any film. Like, if you are just making them because, damn, Godzilla's hot right now. Let's just, I don't care what it is. He could be on a skateboard for 2 hours, picking up chicks. I don't care. Just put it out there and film it. It's like, well, that's not going to get anywhere. Focus. One thing I want me to change is focus, because the first one, the focus was, the Oppenheimer teaser trailer. He's going to be scary and everything else. I'm like, let's go. And then he was like, nah, Bryan Cranston's dead, and a wooden plank is in an army uniform.
Surprise.
And that's it. Surprise. No fighting, no nothing. Just you're gonna fall asleep for 2 hours. I'm like, great. That was awesome. Thank you so much. So my thing is focus. If you don't have focus, then you don't have a good film. Because it's all over the place. You just sit there and go, why did I just waste my time?
Well, you said pick up chicks. Remember that Snickers commercial when
That's right. Yeah.
That was for the MonsterVerse, so you
The only good
go
thing.
a little heck here. Remember that part where the girl looks at him and they're like, hey, and
I totally forgot about that. You're
yeah,
right.
so we kind of got that. Kind of.
Yeah.
Oh man, where do I even begin with this one? I think I'm gonna go back to 2014, and if there's one thing I would change, add a little skirmish at the airport. Do not cut away after that airport roar. That was the biggest tease of all time.
Let's get it.
I could, in my opinion, Godzilla 2014 would have been objectively good if they just had a little, it didn't even have to last long. I would have been fine if it lasted for like 45 seconds even. That would have been fine. Just a little something to hold us over until the main course, And a lot
Like that scene in Monarch, the one he fights the bad thing?
yeah,
that?
when I'm not even gonna. I forgot about
Whatever
that.
that monster is in Monarch at the
The
end.
Ion Dragon.
Yeah,
Ion Dragon.
like that.
But I don't know how many of you are aware, but the studio actually didn't want Edwards to do that. So it's a real rare occurrence of studio interference. Probably would have benefited the movie, and it sort of speaks to Edwards' power on the movie as a whole, because there was a lot where the studio wanted to step and be like, hey, could we do it maybe a different way? And he just said, no, we're gonna do it this way. And it's really surprising. I think he had some blackmail on someone at the studios, because at the time he wasn't a very well-known director, and he had a lot of creative control for a guy who's only made like a couple of things.
That's really funny. So, yeah, that's really funny. What he literally said to them is said, you take your sleeping pills, you go to bed. They're like, no, we want to stay awake during this movie. We want to have fun. And he's like, no, you take your pills and go to bed.
It's like, fool me once, shame on you. And he's even said in interviews, like, oh, I like to
fall asleep.
I like to save the main attraction of my movies for the end of the film. Like, I like to save the main event for the end. I'm like, okay, that works for something like your film Monsters, where it's an original story. The main focus is the people, but at this point, Godzilla hadn't been seen for like 10 years. People have expectations. And call us entitled, but those expectations kind of have to be met. When we've been starving for Godzilla for as long as we had that point.
The drought.
The drought.
The dark ages.
The great drought.
the Godzilla 3D project that never, like years of that never making it off the ground. So I will, as much as I do like Godzilla 2014, I will never forgive it for not only doing it once, but twice. Like, oh, when the male Muto flies into San Francisco during the day, I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna fight. Nope.
Just cut away to black.
But,
so you thought.
I mean, but at least we did get that good Halo jump scene. Can you at least agree that Halo jump scene in Godzilla 2014 was pretty cool?
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
Not really cool, friggin' epic.
friggin' epic.
But so yeah, we are running a little low on time. I do want to give you guys out there a chance to ask some questions. So how about you right here?
In the 10 years since MonsterVerse has been out, a lot of cinematic universes shared, and otherwise have come and gone. What do you ascribe the success to MonsterVerse, and why is it still going strong?
Look around. Look at
Yeah,
everybody here at this
I think the
convention.
answer is that we've had 10,000 attendees at this year's G-Fest, so
It's really because
it's
of you
doing
guys.
something right.
It's all y'all.
I'm not attributing that all to the MonsterVerse, but it helped a little.
Yeah, the only thing it really did was bring it back into the forefront. And that's the thing you can say about it, because we did have, the first G-Fest I went to was 2008. So that was, knee deep in that. This is literally the only thing Godzilla related. So I can give that credit, because that has brought it back into kids' eyes and money, 'cause let's be real, money's eyes, because it was like, oh shoot, these nerds will pay for Godzilla. Well, then let's get that stuff out there, right?
Hell yeah, nerds!
You right there in the black shirt.
At what point do you think it's time to stop making MonsterVerse films and start at a new point?
I think when we have a MonsterVerse film that is right up there, down there with Son of Godzilla or Godzilla's Revenge.
Oh boy.
Where the quality is, for even the people who like the MonsterVerse, I'm like, I can't defend this film. But I do hope that is soon, because I don't want the MonsterVerse to be the new MCU. I don't want people to say, oh, I'm getting kaiju fatigue in like 5 years, like 5-10 years. I want them to know when to say when.
You could have stopped 10 years ago. That's the answer to that question.
We fighting Nick.
John, you pick
Revenge.
somebody.
I think it should continue on, honestly, just because it's more. And more is fine. If it's cheesy, it's cheesy. If it's not, okay, cool. Let's just continue on the King of the Monsters, and let's just have a great day with it.
You said you want to pick somebody.
If you want to pick somebody.
Pick somebody. Actually, this dude in the front right here, you've been having your hands up.
Hands up for like 10 minutes.
I just wanted to, you guys kind of did bring this up, but I wanted to make it clear that just how important 2014 is, because look at all the people in here right now. That's because of 2014.
You're right.
Absolutely.
This fandom.
It is. It also, what it did for my sleep schedule is something I can't match, for sure.
You do have a point. There have been loads of people that I've talked to who have said like, oh yeah, 2014 was my first Godzilla movie, and it inspired me to seek out the source material. Whether or not they loved it or hated it is relative, I think.
No, absolutely, because I mean, without 2014, 2014 to me always became the floodgates to all the kaiju media that we have today. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But you see, that's where you can separate the two and say something might suck, but it also had its own importance. Like '98, you'll ask a lot of people, they'll say the first Godzilla movie they ever saw was 1998. So it's the same thing. Just because 1998 isn't a great movie, that still introduced people to the Godzilla community. So same thing, I don't knock people. If they say to me that 2014 is their first one, I say that's great. That's great because you're gonna grow up and realize it sucks and there's other better ones. but I'm glad, no matter what, I'm glad you're still here because of it. Because I've seen from 2014 to now all the new fans. So I completely welcome that part. I just want you to have better movies to watch once you get older, that's all.
Well, just because the movies suck doesn't mean it's all downhill. It's only downhill from here. You never know. Grant's whatever. He could. Grant could surprise us. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
It's like
Elijah. I'm curious what you have to say. And I swear to God, if you call GVK the cats of the MonsterVerse again, what is it?
What's your guys' opinion on the opinion that Godzilla vs. Kong is the cats of the Godzilla?
So does anybody else have another question? You right there in the black hoodie.
You guys didn't say a lot about it, but what did you think about Monarch, the TV series?
Mid.
I sadly didn't watch much of it because once I realized it was, MonsterVerse related, I kind of just checked out. But I do love Kurt Russell a lot, so he's a great actor. Yes, to Kurt Russell.
I think they should have made the timeline, the 50s timeline, season 1, and the modern, like post G-Day timeline, season 2. I loved the Wyatt Russell and I forget the other two actors' names, but
I'm not sure myself.
But that was objectively the more superior timeline.
I thought it was enjoyable. I like the background story of Monarch. I think it's kind of cool to see what they're holding and hiding and whatnot. And I'm looking forward to season 2, to be honest with y'all.
Absolutely. Season 2 is now confirmed. Anything's the limit. I will say, I enjoyed some of the characters more than Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's just me.
I mean, it was all right. I just hope season 2 is a little bit better. I'm curious what they're going to do with Kong on Skull Island.
I'm ready.
I'm not. Yes, you are. I'm not at all.
You will be.
You will be, bro.
I'll be ready a year from now.
Remember 2022 when I made the hashtag release the Wingard cut and hashtag make Scrooge watch it. Hashtag make Scrooge watch Monarch season 2.
Dear God.
Let's get somebody on this side. You in the black hat.
Well, question. Do you want Destroyer in the MonsterVerse?
Well, why not?
No. Just no. He's the end.
No, considering
He's the
what
end
the
of
MonsterVerse did to everybody else, considering what the MonsterVerse has done to everybody else, we don't need to murder another kaiju career, okay?
I think if Destroyer should come back, it should be in a Toho film first, because I hated Scar King as a villain. They treated him like this big world-ending threat.
I heard, come on, look at you.
He's cool, he's cool, but whatever, but a world-ending threat? Really?
No, let's be honest. There's no reason why Godzilla could went down there and just spanked him silly.
Yeah, Godzilla didn't need
anyone's help.
He didn't need to do Tiamat dirty to kill Scar King. I think, like Scar King looks like he weighs a ton soaking wet at most. I think Godzilla could have. I think Godzilla could have handled himself.
I will tell you this: one of the people I work with at Seismic Toys, which check us out if you can. He brought up a great. What would have been cool in the New Empire is if Godzilla and Kong went up against Scar King and an army of Kongs all at once. I think if you really want to do something cool, make it a actually world-ending threat, like Scar King with an army of Kongs. That would have been really cool.
And like and like they invade the Earth. Like, oh my God, portals are opening up in New York.
Yeah, because we're already
Sydney,
just totally out of our
Cairo.
mind anyway.
Kind of
so
like
might
the
as well
montage
go, yeah.
scene from Final Wars.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing I will say, and you know, John and I have talked about this on his podcast. The only issue is if you bring Destroyer in the MonsterVerse, Godzilla has to die. That's
Godzilla already died with 2014, so just keep that in mind.
I think I'm gonna. I just want to add one point. I'm gonna mirror what my buddy Jacob said about Monarch: Legacy of Monsters when the showrunners were asked about bringing original Toho kaiju. I think if you're gonna bring original Toho kaiju back into the MonsterVerse as a whole, you have to don't just do it for the sake of having Jet Jaguar. Don't put Jet Jaguar in the MonsterVerse just for having the sake of Jet Jaguar. Make it mean something. So if they bring Destroyer into the MonsterVerse, make him an actual world-ending threat. Build up to it in in earlier installments, like kind of how the MCU did with Thanos. Like lead up to it. Don't just plot the next movie out. Oh, by the way, here's Destroyer, and we're going to tell you why he's a world-ending threat in 5 minutes of exposition.
Well, see, you have to remember the Oxygen Destroyer did go off in 2019 in the Israel Damara Sea with Godzilla and King Ghidorah, so maybe
you mean another familiar Toho property that they just put in just for the sake of having a familiar property?
Yes. More than likely.
That was the worst name. That was the worst name drop in history.
Yeah.
One more question. You in the red hat. Yeah, you.
Do you think that Shin Godzilla and -1, do you think they should have sequels or just standalone films?
That's a great question, buddy.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna get a Shin Godzilla sequel, but I think -1 would be a good. It would be good to have a follow-up. Why not?
Well, I'm not really good at math, but I'm pretty sure it'd be like -0 by that point. But to give you an honest answer, again, I think you could. It's about your focus, because it'd be the worst thing possible to follow. I love Shin and -1. It'd be the worst thing possible to follow it up with something that is less than, because you're just trying to rush it out. So if you get to that point where like there's a story doesn't make sense or the whole thing isn't working, then it would be better to just let it go and then restart over with something else.
The one thing I will say that the one thing I will say is that history has a way of repeating itself. Just like you said, we had the cliffhanger with Shin Godzilla, the little humanoids from the tail, and then -1, we have the cliffhanger where the body starts to regenerate. Now we don't know if history will repeat itself, if they just say, no, we're not doing it, and let a new director take over, or maybe, just maybe, we may possibly get a sequel, but the sky's the limit.
But going back to Godzilla, never mind.
No, I would say no for Shin Godzilla, and for -1, as long as you're careful with it. You made a masterpiece, you have to continue on that legacy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. And with that, we are unfortunately out of time. Guys, thank you so much for coming to the MonsterVerse panel. Enjoy the rest of G-Fest. I hope you guys had the best year ever. Thank you.